This is the worst that it's ever been for supply. And to build the new factory is years.
Global chip shortage. US says firm stocks have plunged. Manufacturers have seen their stocks of semiconductors plunge amid the global chip shortage, the US Department of Commerce has warned.
So you're about to enter some of the most advanced manufacturing that is done in any industry, any place on earth, right? And the facility here, it's almost $10 billion of investment.
A survey of more than 150 firms found supplies had fallen from an average of 40 days worth in 2019 to just 5 days in late 2021.
The aspect of human existence is becoming more digital. Everything digital needs semiconductors, and that's not slowing down, that's accelerating as we go through this decade.
Sales of devices soared during the pandemic, leaving semiconductor makers struggling to keep up with demand. The shortage has resulted in huge disruptions for major industries. Millions of products, cars, washing machines, smartphones and more rely on these chips, also known as semiconductors. With skyrocketing demand and full utilization of existing manufacturing facilities, it's clear the only solution to solve this crisis in the long term is to rebuild our domestic manufacturing capabilities, the US Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo said in a statement. The research also found that demand for semiconductors was as much as 17% higher last year than it was in 2019. Meanwhile, US House Democrats on Tuesday unveiled legislation aimed at increasing US competitiveness with China and spending $52 billion, £38.5 billion, on semiconductor production and research, after the Senate approved funding in June.
I believe that we were headed for a shortage before COVID, but a little shortage. You know, demand was starting to pick up, more things getting to be digital, and this is a $500 billion industry growing maybe 5% per year. And then COVID. Supply chains go negative, right? Factories are stopped, disrupted in the supply chain. So instead of 5%, we're now negative, and demand skyrockets because everybody is working from home. They're educating from home. They're doing healthcare from home. All of these industries are being increasingly pressured to rise up and become digital more rapidly.
President Joe Biden's administration is pushing to persuade Congress to approve funding to help boost chip production in the US, as shortages of the key components have exacerbated supply chain bottlenecks. Why is there a chip shortage for computers and cars? Last week, Intel said it would invest $20 billion to build what could be the world's biggest chip-making complex in Ohio.
This is the worst that it's ever been for supply. And to build the new factory is years. We're in the worst of it now. Q3 and Q4, I believe this is the worst part that we'll have, and every quarter next year will get incrementally better, but I expect the shortages persist into 2023.
This would be a high-end server chip. And this chip, like imagine tonight you go home and you Google something, or you go home and you go onto Amazon, right, to search for something, or maybe you're playing a game online as well. This would be one of the Google, Amazon, Microsoft, any of those, right, servers. This would be the kind of chip.
In November, Samsung announced that it had chosen a site close to the US city of Taylor in Texas for its new $17 billion computer chip plant. The plant is expected to be operational by the second half of 2024. It is the South Korean electronics giant's biggest ever US investment.